was a typical long day on the job. The kind of day where your back aches, your shirt sticks to your skin, and your delivery scanner feels twice as heavy as it should. I'd been on the road since early morning, and the sun was starting to dip below the rooftops. Just a few more stops, I told myself. One of them was a small storefront I'd passed a dozen times, but never really noticed. Quiet, unassuming, with the blinds always drawn. I walked up with the package in hand and went to knock. Before I could even make contact, the door slowly creaked open like a scene out of a movie. And that's when I saw him. A man stood in the entryway, completely unclothed, save for a sleek black mask. He wasn't startled. He wasn't embarrassed. In fact, he looked ready. His posture was bold, playful, confident. Then, with a smirk in his voice, he said, "I've been waiting for you. Come in and take what you need." I blinked, unsure if I'd walked into a very weird dream or the wrong building. I'm just here with a delivery," I said, holding up the package like a shield. He laughed a low, sultry kind of laugh. "So am I. I should have turned around. I should have walked away. But curiosity tugged at me harder than my sense of professionalism. I stepped inside. Just for a moment, I told myself. The air inside was cool, dim, and smelled faintly of incense and something sweeter I couldn't place. The door clicked shut behind me, and something about it felt final. I put the package down, and well, without getting too detailed, let's just say I stopped thinking and started feeling. It wasn't just about the physical part. It was the freedom, the rush of doing something completely unexpected. We were wrapped in this moment of heat, energy, and adrenaline. Everything else, my schedule, my bills, my aching feet, just disappeared. About 15 minutes in, there was a knock. Then, without hesitation, the door opened. Another man entered, like he'd been here before. I panicked, reaching for my clothes, but the masked man grabbed me with his legs and held me in place. "Don't go," he whispered. "He's welcome to join." I turned toward the newcomer. "I don't think I was the one you meant to meet today." "That's the best part," the man in the mask said. "Surprises are always more fun." The three of us shared something wild and unspoken. No names, no expectations, just an understanding. We took our time, gave into the rhythm of the moment, and rode it out until we were breathless, laughing, and completely spent. Eventually, the masked man sat up and pulled off his disguise. He looked at me and paused, amused. "You're in uniform?" I nodded, slightly sheepish. I really was just here to deliver a package. He grinned. "Next time, don't be afraid to come in empty-handed." I chuckled, pulling on my clothes. I'll keep that in mind. As I walked back to my truck, I looked back once. The door had already closed again, like nothing had ever happened. But something had. I'm a single guy in my 30s, working hard just to keep up with life. Rent bills, a car payment, and way too many late nights on the job. I don't usually have time for surprises. But that one I'll remember. And maybe, just maybe, I'll make another delivery there soon. It had been a few weeks since that delivery, the one that completely redefined what out for delivery meant in my mind. I hadn't told anyone, obviously. I mean, who would believe it? A masked man, a bold invitation, and a wild encounter that felt like something straight out of a steamy romance novel. Since then, every time I drove by that quiet storefront, I'd glance at the door wondering, but I hadn't seen any new deliveries scheduled for that address until today. I noticed the name on my manifest during my morning sort. Same street, same suite. My stomach flipped, just a little. I told myself it was just another delivery. Probably something boring like printer paper or a bulk candle order. But when I got to the stop, there was a note taped to the door. Handwritten, folded once. It simply read, "Package drop-off in the back. Use the key." And taped beside it, a single black key. Now, most people would probably walk away. Call dispatch. Report it as suspicious. But let's be honest, I'm not most people. I took the key, walked around back, and found an old wooden door with a rusted lock. I slid the key in, turned it, and stepped inside. This time, the lights were low. Soft music played from somewhere deeper inside. The air smelled like sandalwood and something warm, like fresh linen. No one greeted me, but there was a trail of clothing, starting with a shirt, then socks, pants, and, well, you get the idea, leading down a hallway. I followed it. At the end was a room with soft lighting and plush cushions scattered across the floor. And there he was again, masked, reclined, waiting. "Took you long enough," he teased. The same playful voice I remembered. "Wasn't sure if the invite was still open," I said, setting the package down. "The invite's permanent, as long as you're willing to put in the work." I laughed. "I'm still on the clock." "Then let's not waste time." Things got heated quickly, but in a way that felt familiar now, like two people who didn't need to explain anything. The trust was already there. The tension melted away. We moved like we had a rhythm already built in. About 10 minutes in, he whispered, "There's one more surprise." Before I could ask, I heard another voice, this time from behind a velvet curtain near the edge of the room. A figure stepped out, tall, confident, wearing nothing but a towel and a smile. "Hope you don't mind," he said. "He said you were worth meeting." I looked over at the masked man, who gave a lazy shrug. "Told you, the more the merrier." And just like that, part 2 of our impromptu team-building session began. We didn't rush. No stress. No expectations. Just time carved out for pleasure, connection, and laughter. The kind of thing that makes you forget the outside world for a while. Eventually, when the sweat cooled and the laughter faded, I got dressed and headed for the door. "Same time next week?" the masked man asked. I smirked. "Only if you keep leaving the key out." He winked. "Next time, there might be more than just one." I stepped out into the sunlight, the sound of a truck beeping faintly in the distance. Work could wait just a little longer. It started with a text. Well, not a real text. More like a sticky note taped to the back of the last package I dropped off. Written in that same bold handwriting. "After hours access. Tonight, 9 p.m., where something easy to take off." Underneath was another black key. New, sleeker, and it came with a subtle hint of lavender and leather. All day I was distracted. I must have scanned a dozen packages twice and drove 3 blocks past one stop. My mind was already there, at that storefront, wondering just how far this was going to go. At exactly 8:58 p.m., I pulled into the lot and killed the engine. No uniform tonight, just joggers and a tank top. I figured easy to take off wasn't a metaphor. I unlocked the door and stepped inside. Gone was the incense. Gone was the music. In their place, laughter, movement, voices, and bodies. There were at least 7 people, some on couches, some on cushions, some standing and sipping wine like this was the most casual thing in the world. No one was fully dressed, and no one seemed to mind. The masked man was there too, reclining with his signature grin. "Glad you made it," he said, raising a glass. "Tonight's a little more interactive." I hesitated at first. I'm used to surprises by now, but this was next level. Still, something in the air made it feel okay. Safe. No pressure. Just a room full of like-minded people ready to let go of their daily grind. Within minutes, the tension melted. Hands found skin. Lips met shoulders. Pillows shifted. Moans and laughter blended like music. There was movement everywhere. People taking turns, switching partners, sharing looks, sharing heat. Everything stayed consensual. Everything stayed respectful. There were no rules except one. No shame. It wasn't about dominance or roles. It wasn't about showing off. It was about freedom. The kind of freedom you don't get in a world that demands you clock in, pay bills, and pretend your desires don't exist. At one point, I found myself in the middle of it all. 2 sets of hands on my chest, one mouth on my neck, a soft whisper in my ear asking, "You good?" And I was. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't thinking about rent, or my car needing tires, or my overflowing inbox. I was just there. Later, as things slowed down, bodies resting in a tangled pile of comfort and closeness, someone passed around sparkling water and strawberries. We were all sweaty and half-naked, and smiling like we'd just been let in on a secret. The masked man raised his glass again and looked right at me. "You've earned a permanent pass," he said. I laughed. "What's the dress code?" "Preferably none." but joggers are fine. By the time I walked back out into the night, the air was cool against my skin. My shirt clung in places it shouldn't, but I didn't care. I'd made my delivery and gotten more in return than I ever expected.